It truly is an honor to be here. And ladies and gentlemen, what a nice turnout. Thank you for coming out. I'm truly honored and humbled at the same time of your presence being here. You know, we talk about the Day of the Duck. Give you a little story this morning. My typical morning, I get up and I go make a pot of coffee. And on my way out to the driveway to pick up the newspaper, I saw this huge thunderhead this morning, looking to the south. The tops of the thunderhead was white, and as the colors come down, it would turn to pink, orange, yellow. It was gorgeous. Gorgeous to the point where I went in and grabbed my camera, took a couple pictures, of which I'll probably use in a waterfall painting sometime down the road. But anyway, as I was standing there watching this thunderhead, out of nowhere, swear to God, a Drake mallard duck comes flying by. Now, I don't know if that's an omen or what, but I think he was telling me, hey, Mark, this is your day. Because, you know, if it wasn't for the ducks, I wouldn't be here today. So I got to give a lot of credit to the ducks, too. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, you know, entering this contest for 18 years, it's been a long time, been a lifelong goal, a dream, if you will, and now to finally win it, it's like, I can't believe it sometimes. I got to pinch myself sometimes just to make sure it's real. And, you know, one thing I have to interject here is back in the late 20s, Senator Peter Norbeck from South Dakota, at that time they were trying to pass the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. And Senator Peter Norbeck from South Dakota was instrumental in getting that bill passed, which later led to the federal duck stamp program a few years later in 1934. And just to add what Tom was talking about, the dollars that the federal duck stamp has raised, over $500 million since in the 72 years of its inception. $25 million was made last year just from the federal duck stamp. That's a lot of money going right back into the refuge system. 98 cents of every dollar. And to win this deal, it's like, this is a big deal. Like John said, this is a big deal. You know, entering the contest last year, they give you criteria of 5 different species to choose. And I decided to choose the hooded merganser because I've had luck with it before in entering contest. I won the Iowa Ducks Unlimited with the hooded merganser, and every hooded merganser that I've ever painted, I've sold. And so I felt really comfortable choosing that species. And I also, you know, us artists, when we go through this thing before we enter contest, we're always trying to outsmart the judges. We're always trying to figure out what best to do. Should we paint 1 duck? Should we paint 2? Should we paint 3? And you know, should they go this way, or should we paint them this way? Or should we paint them flying, you know, or standing? I mean, there's all these things that we try to take into mind and try to conjure up a great design that will have appeal to the judges. And I took a gamble full well that when I rendered my design that I would do 2 drakes. There's never been a federal duck stamp in the 72 years where there's 2 drakes sitting on the water. So this would be a federal first of 2 male ducks on the water. But I took that gamble. I was sitting around playing with these photographs. I had females and males, and I just instinctively put the 2 males together, and it was just a really neat, striking design. So I gambled and I did it. I sent it in. And by the way, I had a hard time not putting some weeds in here because, you know, you got to keep in mind that the design you're working on, that if it's reduced down to a little stamp, it's got to be really clean. And it can't have all that weeds and mumbo jumbo in the background. But I tell you, I wanted to put a couple weeds, about 3 of them right in there. But I decided at the last minute not to do that. I left it alone, sent it off. And the judging took place on October 5th of last year. And it's always customary that when you're in the 3rd and final round of the judging, which is generally down to the top 10 pieces, that the Federal Duck Stamp Office calls you to let you know that you're in the top 10. And this was on a Tuesday, and knowing full well in the back of my mind that they were judging the Federal Duck Stamp, I was out mowing the grass, my typical chore on Tuesday. And I come in, and there's a message on the machine, and it says, Mr. Mark Anderson, this is the Federal Duck Stamp Office calling. as you know, we're judging the contest today. Would you please call us as soon as possible? And then they left a number. So I called the number, and the lady says, Mr. Anderson just called to let you know that you're in the third and final round. Congratulations. The judges are at lunch, and as soon as they come back from lunch, they're going to declare the winner. And because you're in the final round, we want you to stay by the phone. You get nervous, my hands start shaking, my heart starts thumping. I can't paint. I walk around the house talking to myself, pretty much. And so anyway, as us artists analogize again, well, let's see. If the phone rings in maybe an hour, you know, maybe it's it, maybe you don't know. Or if they don't call at all, then you didn't win, whatever. So anyway, I don't know what I was doing, I don't remember, but anyway, about an hour and 20 minutes went by, and the phone rang. And right away, you perk up pretty good, and I have caller ID, and I walked over to the phone, and I looked at the caller ID. It said, United States Department of Interior. So right away, I'm thinking, oh, wow, this could be the call. This could be it. I picked up the phone. I said, hi, Mark. The lady on the other line says, is this Mr. Mark Anderson, Sioux Falls, South Dakota? I said, yes, it is. She says, Mark, I'm going to put you on hold for about 30 seconds. I said, okay. Clue number one, why would they put you on hold if you were placing third or fourth or fifth or whatever down the road? In the background, I could hear Secretary of Interior Gail Norton speaking because it was in the auditorium at the Department of Interior. 30 seconds go by, it seemed like an eternity. The lady comes back on and she said, are you still there, Mr. Anderson? I said, yes, I am. She said, Mark, we're going to put you on an intercom system in about 5 seconds. Okay. Clue number two, why would they be putting you on the intercom system, you know, in the Department of Interior? 5 seconds go by and she comes back on and she said, Mark, she said, the Honorable Gail Norton, Secretary of Interior, would like to speak to you now. Right away I knew. Why else would you want to be talking to me? Yeah. So Gail Norton comes on the phone and she says, is this Mr. Mark Anderson, Sioux Falls, South Dakota? I guess they want to make sure they know who they're talking to. And so anyway, she says, Mark, do you know why I'm calling you today? And I said, well, yeah, you're judging the federal duck stamp. And she said, well, Mark, she said, we just got done judging the federal duck stamp, and the reason for my call today is to congratulate you. You're the winner of the 2005-06 federal duck stamp, which was pretty cool. Thank you. You know, I asked that there would be no chairs. That way I get an automatic standing ovation when everybody claps. It works out pretty good. But anyway, it's just been a whirlwind. I've been traveling. I've been to California. I've been to Maryland a couple times. I've been to Washington, D.C. a couple times. And I've got a couple more trips coming up, one to Florida, one to Memphis, again promoting the federal duck stamp program. The release of the stamp, which just came out. We were in Washington, had a great national first day event like we're having now, and now it's the hometown event. And man, it's just, they told me that this would be the busiest year of my life. And I'll tell you what it is. I got so many irons in the fire, I don't know which one to pull out first. It's just that busy. I mean, these pictures framed over here, I do all my own framing. I didn't have time to frame. I had to hire somebody to frame them. Rayfield's here in town, by the way. But anyway, I have a new goal. You know, people say that, well, geez, now that you've achieved the ultimate, you know, the federal duck stamp, what's your plans next? And I say, well, I plan to win it again. The only problem is I'm ineligible to compete for 3 years. And there's only been a handful of artists to have won it twice. Out of the 72 years, I'm the 54th artist, which is a pretty small, elite handful group of artists. And out of that, there's only maybe a dozen that have won it twice. But anyway, that's my next goal, if you will. But I said I can't enter it for 3 years, so I got 3 years to think about it. And one other note here, you see my framed federal duck stamp prints. These are brand new. I had to pay $15 just like you guys, you know, for these stamps. And I'm doing a one-day deal on these. I'm not charging you for the stamps. I'm not charging you for the framing. You will only get this price this day. After that, it goes up to the normal prices. But again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's truly an honor. Thank you. Thank you very much.